Why? Why just continue to trample on our dreams? The damage is already done. You already screwed over all of the players. Just leave it at that. And what I'm referring to is the president of Sony Online Entertainment felt bad about what happened with Star Wars Galaxies, even felt that it was a mistake. And before I quote him, you're going to see the quote right here. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the little picture from that subreddit AMA, to where he said, and I'm going to read the quote too while I'm at it, "Star Wars Galaxies, I would do everything differently. Star Wars Galaxies players, our next game, not announced yet, is dedicated to you. Once we launch it, you can come home now." I don't know why I actually thought that he would follow through with this, or why he would think this game that was announced, H1Z1, a post-apocalyptic zombie survival game, would be anything like Star Wars Galaxies. Now, I wasn't looking for Star Wars Galaxies, and anybody who wanted Star Wars Galaxies exactly, I mean, come on. I'm sorry, but that time has passed. They're obviously not going to try and jump into anything like that again, and they couldn't even do Star Wars even if they wanted to, because unfortunately EA now owns the rights to any kind of Star Wars games. So it wasn't going to happen, no matter how hard we wished and tried and, you know, did emulators and just tried to show that there was still support for the game, and even just the videos like the one where, go ahead and pop over for a second, so, you know, promoting, fine, whatever. I ranted like the fanboy that I am of Star Wars Galaxies and explained why it was so amazing and why it shouldn't have failed, but it did, because of a lot of the really stupid mistakes that were made. So I wanted to give this the benefit of the doubt. H1Z1, it's a play on words for the H1N1 virus, which almost became like a pandemic and hypochondriacs around the world were freaking out about. And there was even a joke article about the H1Z1, which the Z obviously stands for zombies, because we don't have enough zombie games out there. And I guess this is what they thought was going to be the whole idea. Now, based on the details, I can see what they were trying to go for when they said this would be the game for Star Wars Galaxy players. But no matter how hard they try, and even some of the features, it's not. Because what they failed to realize is Star Wars Galaxies wasn't just about the sandbox and the crafting and just the community. It was more than even just that. It was the freedom to do anything you wanted. And I do mean just about anything you could think of. I said almost just like that Second Life game, but no offense to people who play it, but less creepy. And you don't have that in H1Z1, because H1Z1, for, you know, just the lack of a better explanation, even if you were to include the other features I'm going to discuss in the details, it's just a almost carbon copy of DayZ in any hardcore survival game. It's nothing like, it's not even an RPG to any extent at all. So it's almost nothing like Star Wars Galaxies. I don't know how they thought this would be that love letter, or this thing that's gonna get all the Star Wars Galaxy fans back. Alright, that rant's over. And you know what? If they want to make their own game, that's fine. I'm not upset that they decided to make a zombie survival post-apocalypse game. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. They have every right to do so. And if they can do better than games like Rust or DayZ or a lot of the other games that are going to be coming out shortly, then by all means go for it. You know, be the champion of that genre. And I'll applaud you for it. But don't go ahead and just slap us in the face and say this is for us when it's clearly not at all. So, for anybody who's interested in the details of H1Z1, what I can tell you from what was actually on the whole live stream, which I'm probably going to have video going to the side of me, you can go ahead and take a look at as I'm describing it. I mean, again, like I said, it's going to be a lot like DayZ. In the ways it's very similar to DayZ is, as many people can already guess, it's going to be a first or third person shooter. It's going to have a night and day cycle, but it's going to be different than DayZ in the fact that they say it's going to be something that's going on constantly. It's not going to be like in DayZ where if it's nighttime where you're at, it's night, or if it's daytime, it's day. It's not going to be supposed to be a real night-day cycle. It's going to be accelerated. It's obviously going to be a player versus player emphasis, which I'm all for games that are player versus player, despite what some of my friends might think. If you die, you lose your gear. Again, something that you completely expect in a hardcore survival game. And there's no skills or levels, which, again, is something to be expected and is in just about every other survival game. Now, what they're saying is going to be different, and this is where I guess they thought this was going to really get the Star Wars Galaxy players excited, but at least, again, it's different than what's already out there, is they're going to put in actual base building, town building, fortress creation. Now, anybody who's familiar with what's going on with EverQuest Next, they have the whole landmark system where people can go ahead and create their own buildings and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot more in-depth than even what DayZ was saying they're going to do with basic base building. I know in the mod, you basically can go ahead and just put stuff in front of buildings, and it wasn't exactly the same as what, at least, they're promising, and they more likely can deliver, because they did do it with Star Wars Galaxies, and they are doing it with EverQuest Next. So they're talking about, you can go around chopping down trees, go ahead and take the lumber, put it together, and create, if you wanted to, a house out of wood. And anything existing buildings, you can go ahead and fortify and create your own kind of fortress as well. So I'm liking that idea. I mean, the ability to go ahead and further branch out cities, or even create your own player cities in the middle of the forest with those kind of buildings and resources, is a great idea. And again, it's not something you see too often in this kind of genre. So it's going to give that, it's going to kind of give it something a little more refreshing to it. I mean, crafting, now it's going to be a little bit more in depth also than what you see in a lot of different already existing survival games, hardcore survival games. It's going to be just, they didn't really show anything as far as crafting is concerned, but again, they're saying it's going to be very in depth. This is going based on what they say, which is only going to be so much, but again, from what you've seen in EverQuest and Star Wars Galaxies, they were pretty massive crafting systems. So if they're implementing anything close to that into H1Z1, that's also going to be a nice little change of pace to be able to go ahead and just create tools from scratch. Or like I said, you can go ahead and create even buildings just from a lot of the materials that you have just lying around. So that's going to be interesting to see. They did confirm, not only just in video, but also from what they're saying, vehicles. And what's going to be cool is you actually have to find spark plugs or even just different car parts to be able to repair the vehicles if need be. So that's going to be very interesting to see as well. And can lead to some pretty awesome fights. I mean, between people trying to get to their car, and then there might be an opposing faction that's trying to get to their car, to your car, and they might just have the parts that they need, or might know where it's at, and they could fight you for it. So, I mean, again, there's just many different opportunities that can arise from situations like this. Limited character creation. Now, in the actual interview, they said there is going to be a massive amount of creation, but they were talking about, and they referenced more, clothing. So, unlike DayZ, where you kind of just pick up clothes that are on the ground and there's really not that many different options for the people who really care about character creation, which is like me to a certain extent, there's going to be, from what they said, a huge plethora of different outfits, hats, clothing, so on to choose from. Not so much creation as far as the character, or at least they didn't say anything as far as character creation for the actual characters themselves. It's going to be thousands of players per server. We're talking something along the lines similar to PlanetSide 2, another Sony Online Entertainment game. It's not going to be like it is with DayZ and other games where it's limited servers. At least DayZ did try to make the jump to 100 player servers, which was an interesting effort. But not only that, what's going to be different is the fact that these worlds are going to be completely persistent. So that means if you go ahead and build any kind of buildings, or you build a fortress, you fortify a building, anything you do stays with that server even after you leave. It's completely constant. There's no server refreshes or anything like that. So that'd be, you know, I keep saying the word interesting because I need a thesaurus, but very interesting to see happen, just to have all that going on at once. You leave, for instance, for work or for school or whatever you might be doing, and you come back and somebody's destroyed your house. You're going to be kind of pissed, but unfortunately that's going to be what's happened because of the fact that it is a persistent world that you're playing in. They are also talking about the fact that there's going to be more of a community. Now, like I've mentioned, as far as Star Wars Galaxies and just other Sony Online Entertainment games, they already have it set up to where you can go ahead and, like I mentioned, create player cities or just further expand on existing cities. They're talking about having market trading, but they really didn't go into much detail as far as that's concerned either. The one thing I do like, and I'm pretty sure my friends who play DayZ will appreciate, is now you can create actual groups or factions, at least as far as what they said. So that means, I guess, the Real Bandits will actually be a real faction known as the Real Bandits. You can go ahead and party up, actually have a clan, and fight other clans, instead of just people kind of grouping together and making a pseudo group and kind of just going from there. So it gives you more of a sense of community. There's a little bit more togetherness, And they said it would be interesting as far as having clan wars or anything as far as seeing something like that happen. And there's going to be the inclusion of, at least as far as nighttime is concerned, or even daytime, you have the torches which you're going to need to kind of see where you're going, but they can also be used to burn things. Just about anything from what they said can burn. So that means if you see, even as I mentioned, somebody worked hard to go ahead and build a little like log cabin, you can light that shit on fire, and then you're just an asshole for doing it, but you can still do it. Unless you're doing it against, I guess, maybe a rival gang and it's PvP, and then you're trying to basically smoke them out, then it could be, you know, a strategic maneuver. But either way, you can burn things. So yay for burning things. And that goes as far as zombies, trees, anything made of wood, anything that you basically would consider flammable is going to be flammable from what they're saying. And it's not only just other players you need to worry about. The zombies, each zombie, again, from what they say, is going to have its own AI. It's not going to be this group mentality where each of them are going to react the same way to you or the environment around you. And not only do you have to face against players and zombies, which they are going to be adding more types of zombies, not just the standard walkers that they're showing, but you also have to go against wildlife. So I'm guessing the only thing that would really be threatening would probably be bears, jaguars, anything like that. And it is supposed to take place, what they said, at the beginning in Middle America, but it's going to be a massive map for each server, and they're actually thinking about expanding it to the point where they say it's going to be more or less all of America post-apocalypse. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to manage that, but if they can deliver on that, that's going to be huge. I mean, as far as money is concerned, the game is going to be free to play. There is going to be a $15 a month premium subscription. What that's going to give you, details have not been released for that yet either. There will be microtransactions, but the president swears it's not pay to win, which would definitely piss a lot of people off. And even then, it's going to suck considering the fact that if you die, you lose everything. So if you pay good money to get a lot of really good gear and you just lose it anyways, you basically just pissed away your money. So good job on that. And it will actually be available for early access within 4 to 6 weeks for $20. So it's another going to be an early access game to where it's not going to necessarily be finished, but you have the ability to still play it, experience it, have fun with it, and hopefully help the game develop. Because I would like to see this game become something big. I'm still disappointed that this is what they thought was going to go ahead and get the Star Wars Galaxies players all excited and be like, yeah, I want to play this game, because it's not what it's doing for me. But I am willing to give it a chance because I'm more than sure, like my friends Nate and Vita and a few other people might end up playing this, or I might just give it a shot because it's free to play, just to, you know, have fun with it. Because I'll still try and play other games, even though survival games aren't my forte. It's not one of my favorite genres. And again, it has nothing to do with the whole PvP nonsense or even just having to lose my gear. It's just, to me, there's not much point. There's no real direction or objective. But at least if there's a sense of community, that's something that could probably keep me going. And crafting, I love being able to craft and create and customize. So those two things are at least more than what DayZ or other current games have to offer. But again, we'll see in the future as more details are released. And it's going to be coming out for PC first. I mean, that's to be expected. But they are also talking about releasing not long after for PlayStation 4 and possibly other different consoles as well. And again, I mean, I'm still baffled as far as why they thought this was going to be the big welcome home love letter to Star Wars Galaxies players. But you know what? It is what it is. Let's see how this game turns out. For anybody who doesn't give two shits about Star Wars Galaxies, this might actually be the big, you know, survival game that really kind of just sets the bar. So it's something for people who are in that kind of genre to be excited for, at least from what they're offering. Or you might not be, but at least you know the details. You can go ahead and come up with your own opinion as far as now is concerned. Or you can just go ahead, not care, give it 4 to 6 weeks, drop down $20, and go ahead and see for yourself. But either way, at least you know, at least you have an idea of what you're supposed to be getting into. And that's really about all I can say. And we'll see how it turns out. Until next time.
Nice work. I will let you know of any updates on Vanderpag. Make sure to share the news on Facebook.